Recap from this morning's club race. It's the U.S. Road Running Club. They do races all over the country, but they're typically smaller races. I signed up for the 10K, and the hope was to be in the lead at the 5K and drop down to the shorter distance race so I could save something for tomorrow. There's a 5 mile in my recovery boots, and I got to do my altitude training as soon as this report's over. I woke up 15 minutes late. I set my alarm for the wrong time, and I just woke up on my own. Didn't sleep that great, but I was able to rush around and get out of the house, and I arrived to the race about 58 minutes before the start. I prefer to be there at least an hour before the start, but 2 minutes I didn't care about. No stress. Everything was cool. I did my warm-up, and during the warm-up, unfortunately, they delayed the start of the race 15 minutes, but they didn't announce that until about 10 minutes before it was supposed to start. So it was okay. I just kept doing my warm-up. Everything worked out perfectly. Regarding my warm-up, fortunately, it wasn't super hot today, probably in the mid-60s, some cloud cover. So, it probably would have been even better if it had started at 7:30 instead of 7:45. But like I said, that was okay too. During warm-up, I saw 3 people that I thought could be potential competition. One of them I talked to briefly, and he said he was going to be in the half marathon. So I knew I didn't have to worry about him. But I could tell he was probably in his 30s, or maybe early 40s, and fit. There was another guy who was older. I think I've seen him before, but I don't remember. The results won't be posted officially till typically Monday. So some of the information I give may not be exact, and I won't know how old he was. And then the other guy looked like he was late 20s, maybe early 30s. So the race started. The guy doing the half marathon went out pretty aggressively. Some younger girl, probably teen, like 14 maybe-ish, went out too fast. And then I settled into third. Maybe a quarter of a mile into it, if that, the girl kind of faded back a little bit, but not quite as quick as I thought she would fade back. And I was right behind the guy running the half marathon. I wasn't drafting. He wasn't taking the apex of the curves, and this is a sidewalk that curves a fair amount, not drastic curves. There's a couple right angles and even a hairpin turn, but he was kind of all over, and I felt like I was going to go too fast if I tried to get right behind him. So I was running maybe, like 10 meters back for a good chunk of it. And then I kind of caught up probably, maybe, I don't know, just a little bit before the turnaround. So their turnaround was different than the 5K, 10K turnaround. So I wished him luck when he kept going straight, and I turned around and hold on a second. I have something in my teeth. And when I turned around, I was maybe 15 seconds ahead of the older guy that I had picked to be competition. He was So I'm sorry. So the first turnaround was at 0.75 of a mile. So we weren't all the way even into a mile. So I was like, okay, I'm ahead of him. And there were a couple people not far behind him at that point. The girl had faded. The one younger guy that I thought might be a good runner was pretty far back in the pack, so I knew he was zero threat. So I kept going back. You got to go back. It wasn't super crowded. There's probably only 30, 40 people, maybe. Nah, not even that. 30 at most on the path, so it was fairly clear and wide enough. When I got to the first mile split, my watch said 6:25, which was a good pace, honest pace. Definitely not all out, which was good because I definitely started the Magic 5K way too fast and faded the whole second half of that race. So I was really happy with that first split. And again, I was ahead of this older guy, but I knew that I really couldn't slow down because he was not that far behind me. So I kept going till we got back to the start-finish line, which is a little over a mile and a half. I turned around and I maybe had a 20-second lead at that point. So he was definitely picking it up because he was not fading as far. I mean, in theory, I should have been 30 seconds ahead of him if he ran the same pace and I ran the same pace. So my second mile was 6:22, which I was really excited about. And part of that, I think, I felt comfortable. I mean, I could tell I was pushing, but not all out. And I think I felt comfortable because the first mile was in control at the 6:25. So I definitely liked the 6:22 second split. I started to do some math in my head, and I said, hey, if you run another 6:20, you can be right at, under 19 minutes. So I thought, okay, I'm going to keep pushing, even though I really wanted to save for tomorrow's 5-miler. I also didn't want to ease up so much that I lost this race or had to run the 10K. Because if he passed me, then I would have just kept going in the 10K, but I'd rather go all out in the 5K and then be able to relax. So I turned around at basically the final turnaround, which was 2.25-ish. There's a little extra because the 0.11's added on. And he was maybe 25 to 30 seconds behind me. So I was running this last 0.75 of a mile, and again, each split was right around where I needed to be under 20 minutes. So I was starting to push. I could tell I was working pretty hard, which is what I should be doing on the third mile if I'm doing things right. Every 1 minute I get my headphones tell me, what pace I'm at right at that point. So give me a second here. So I'm running and I'm trying to push because like I said, I think there's a really good chance I'm going to be under 20 minutes. My watch goes off at 2.85. So that's a quarter of a mile left that I really want to push myself. And I definitely was pushing hard at that point, but probably not all out. I think the last mile was also a 6:22. Let me see if I can check without losing the video.